Have you ever wondered how thousands of cattle live in one of the hottest, driest parts of Australia? Out in Western Australia, huge farms, called stations, are home to a special breed of cattle known as the Brahman. These animals are strong, smart, and built for the harsh outback. In this video, we'll take a look at how farmers raise them on some of the biggest cattle stations in the world. Western Australia is massive, so big that some cattle stations here are larger than entire countries. Places like the Kimberley and Pilbara regions are home to wide-open spaces, dry rivers, and rough terrain. These areas can be really hot. Temperatures often rise above 40 degrees Celsius in summer. Rain is rare, and when it does come, it usually pours all at once during the wet season. But even in these tough conditions, Brahman cattle do well. The land may look empty, but it's filled with native grasses and plants that cattle can graze on all year round. This is where the Brahman breed truly shines, because not every cow can handle the heat, dust, and long distances between food and water. Brahman cattle are different from other breeds, and that's exactly why they're perfect for the outback. They have a large hump on their shoulders, loose skin, and long floppy ears. These features aren't just for looks. They help the Brahman handle the heat. The loose skin allows better airflow and helps them stay cool. Their short, shiny coat reflects sunlight, and their sweat glands are super active, which helps them release body heat faster than most other cattle. But it's not just the weather they can handle. Brahmans are also resistant to ticks and parasites, which are common in hot, tropical areas. And while other breeds might get sick or lose weight in dry seasons, Brahmans can survive on less food and still stay healthy. They're tough, smart, and don't stress easily. That's important on stations where cattle may not see people for weeks or even months. Because of all these traits, Brahman cattle have become one of the most popular beef breeds in Northern Australia. Life on a cattle station in Western Australia is different from almost anywhere else. The land is so big that some paddocks are tens of thousands of hectares, which is larger than entire cities. Because of this, Brahman cattle are mostly left to roam and graze freely. They feed on native grasses, spinifex, and shrubs. Farmers don't need to bring them food every day. Instead, they make sure there's enough pasture and fresh water in each paddock. Water is key. Stations use windmills, solar pumps, and boreholes to pull water from deep underground. Troughs are placed in different areas, so cattle don't have to travel too far to drink. Since the herds are spread out over such large areas, mustering, or rounding up the cattle, only happens a few times a year, and it's a big job. Farmers use helicopters, drones, motorbikes, and even horses to find and gather the animals. This way of farming is called extensive grazing, and it works well because Brahmans are so independent and hardy. They don't need a lot of hands-on care, which makes them ideal for these huge remote stations. Keeping a strong herd starts with smart breeding. On these stations, natural breeding is the rule. In the cooler months, a group of strong Brahman bulls is turned out with hundreds of cows. Each bull covers a large area, sometimes one bull for every 30 to 40 cows, so good genetics spreads quickly. Calves arrive about 9 months later, right at the start of the wet season, when grass is fresh and green. Most calves are born in the paddock without help. Brahman cows have an easy time calving, which saves station hands a lot of work. When the calves are 6 to 8 months old, it's time for their first big day out. They're mustered with their mothers, brought to the stockyard, and given ear tags and a tiny electronic chip for the National Livestock Identification System, NLIS, a quick health check and vaccines to protect against common diseases, a weight on the scale, so the station can track growth and spot the best performers. After weaning, the station manager looks closely at every animal. Calves that grow fast, stay healthy, and keep a calm attitude are picked for the breeding herd. Others are steered, meaning they're castrated, and sent back to graze until they reach market weight. Good records matter, even on a property bigger than a small country. Simple tools, handheld scanners, notebooks, and even phone apps help stockmen log weights and tag numbers right in the yards. This data guides future decisions about which bulls to buy or which cows to keep. By pairing careful selection with the Brahman's natural toughness, farmers build herds that can handle heat, drought, and long walks to water year after year. Western Australia isn't just raising cattle for local markets. It's also a major player in the live export industry. Each year, thousands of Brahman cattle are shipped from northern ports like Broome and Wyndham to countries across Southeast Asia, including Indonesia, Vietnam, and Malaysia. Why Brahmans? Because their calm nature, strong build, and ability to handle long journeys make them ideal for export. The trip can take several days by sea, so only cattle that are healthy, strong, and well prepared are allowed to go. Before export, cattle are gathered at special export yards, where they're given feed, water, and a health check. Each animal must meet strict welfare and health standards set by the Australian government. These rules are part of the ESCAS system, which stands for Exporter Supply Chain Assurance System. It's designed to make sure cattle are treated properly all the way to their destination. Once they arrive overseas, the cattle often go to feedlots, where they are fed and cared for before being sold in local markets. This trade is important for many cattle stations. It provides a steady income and helps support jobs, not just on farms, but also in trucking, shipping, and port services. For Brahman cattle, it's another example of how their toughness, calm attitude, and good size make them valuable, both at home and abroad. Farming in Western Australia isn't easy, and even Brahman cattle have their limits. One of the biggest challenges is rain, or the lack of it. Some years bring floods during the wet season. Other years, there's barely a drop. Droughts can last months or even years, making it harder for grass to grow and water sources to stay full. To survive, farmers have to plan ahead. They check water tanks regularly, rotate cattle to avoid overgrazing, and sometimes destock paddocks, moving cattle off the land to let it recover. Bushfires are another risk, especially in the dry season. A single lightning strike can start a blaze that burns for days. That's why many stations create fire breaks and keep an eye on weather warnings. At the same time, more stations are looking at sustainable practices to protect the land for future generations. This includes using solar pumps instead of diesel, planting drought-tolerant grasses, and working with scientists to measure the impact of grazing. Some farmers are also joining programs that reward them for reducing carbon emissions or improving soil health. These changes help the environment and can even bring in extra income. In the Outback, you can't control the weather, but with good planning and tough cattle like the Brahman, many farmers are finding ways to keep going, no matter what the season brings. Brahman cattle are more than just animals on a farm. They're a symbol of strength and survival in one of the world's toughest environments. From vast dry paddocks to busy export ports, they play a huge role in Western Australia's cattle industry. Thanks to smart farming, hard work, and these hardy cattle, the Outback keeps producing beef for Australia and the world. If you enjoyed learning about how Brahman cattle are raised in Western Australia, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell to get notified about more stories from the world of livestock and farming. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.